What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Cinema Center at MARBL at TIFF 2023. I have the pleasure of sitting with the team behind Unicorns. Huge, huge, huge congratulations on your movie. I mean it sincerely. I adored it.
Thank you so much.
All right. I'm going to toss this duty to one of you. I'm sure you're doing this a lot right now, but our audience won't know what Unicorns is about just yet. So can someone give me a brief synopsis of the film?
Okay, so Unicorns is a cross-cultural romance about a single father from Essex who's a mechanic, and he unexpectedly falls in love with a British Indian drag queen.
You were prepared for that. I was going to say that's the hardest question I'm asking the entire interview, but you were ready to go.
I get paid a little bit more for that. Yeah, I do.
Most impressive. You deserve all that extra money. So you write the script and then you decide that you don't want to direct yourself. You want a co-director. What was it about the material that made you think that was best for it? And then what was it about Sally that made you think that she was the perfect partner for this?
Well, unfortunately, Sally and I are partners in real life.
Fun fact. I'm learning lots of new information today.
So any project I do, I have to tell her about it.
Well, Unicorns for 7 years was a child in our house. Yeah. So it was something that I watched James develop, and as he was working on different drafts of the script, it was a film, then it was a TV series, and then it went back to a film. And I always thought it was best as a film. And so when he turned it back to a film, I said, at the time, Swimmers, this other movie I was working on, had fallen apart in the pandemic, and it was before Netflix had come on board, and we didn't know if it was going to happen. And I was suddenly free, and I said, I think I'd be interested in directing Unicorns. And so that's when it first started as a conversation.
Is there anything you can share about why you thought the story was best served in the feature film format rather than a series?
I think it's because I mainly think in terms of films. It's not that I have anything against TV, and I've worked a little bit in TV, but I think that the form of a film is more conducive to a story that isn't, you have fantastic television that's very long form, but certainly for a film like this that at its heart is a romance. And I thought it should really be centered on these two amazing characters and these two clashing worlds. And as amazing as those worlds are, when you stretch it out over TV, it could be that Aysha and Luke got a bit lost, and I felt like really focusing on the love was what the film and the story needed to be about.
Ultimately, great success in that respect. I want to know a little bit about your dynamic when directing. So obviously you two know each other very well. Is there anything about your collaboration as co-directors that came as a surprise once you actually were on the ground on set making the film?
I think we expected it to be more difficult, really, because we both have opinions. We both are kind of comfortable in our work, and we feel we know what we want now in our careers. But actually, very rarely did we disagree. And when we had tiny little disagreements, which are inevitable in the creative process, I think we always made the right decision for the film. Yeah. And it was great. It was a dream. And look, on this film, like a lot of independent films, I think, you have a bit more creative control and breathing space, which I think helps, in this kind of situation. But also we have a shorthand, like we know each other so well in life. We've worked together before on 2 films. So, with a look, we could almost kind of go, yeah, we've got that take, or we want to do this.
Yeah, we like this, or no, we need to do that again. And when time was short, it was very helpful because we'd be like, split the work. So you go speak to that person, I'll speak to this person. We could do double in half the time. So it was really practical.
I can't believe just like how perfect this whole operation seems, but
yeah, I mean, you should ask
something
them.
Else. Yeah, I will throw it to the two of you next. What is something about working with co-directors that you think served your performance the best, maybe even helped you exceed your own expectations for your work in the roles?
I think what made it so special is the actual relationship that you guys had, because like you say, like any kind of small conflicts were resolved within seconds, so it could have gone terribly wrong if you had 2 people clashing heads the whole time. But in fact, what it turned out to be was just 2 wonderful creative minds helping guide me and Jason through the process. So it was just another strength, really. Yeah.
And like you say, like when they have like different opinions, it kind of gives you like multiple perspectives. And so it makes you kind of think about, okay, maybe I do need to bring that actually to this scene or this moment, And what's good is that like, because like they have that rapport and that relationship, that they're both so passionate about it, and that you've both been in it for like 7 years, like basically. Yeah. So they're so determined to like make this the best film possible. And so it inspired us because we obviously want to make the best film possible.
I don't know how clearly you remember the specifics, but can you maybe give me an example of a time when they brought different perspectives to a scene and it wound up enhancing the scene because you got to envision two different paths for the characters?
I was gonna say when we were like really stretched for time and we had to do the fight scene.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I remember Sally and James, that's the time when they literally had to split the work and they were like, right, we're going to have to change all of this. Cut this, let's do this, let's go straight to that. And we were like, okay, we've got one take, let's go.
I remember there was one scene actually where you return and see him outside the garage the first time you come to the garage.
Yeah.
And I remember like you were doing your speech about the mudra and all that kind of stuff. I remember you got one piece of direction from Sally that was one way,
yeah,
and you got another piece of direction from me that was almost the opposite. And what was nice was that it gave us two options. And I remember the third take that you did was kind of like half of each, which was almost different in it of itself.
Yeah.
So it gave us different colors, you know, which was really important.
Yeah.
I have to come back to you, Jason, because I said it to you before you sat down. How is this your first lead role in a major feature film? I don't quite understand that. I want our audience to learn more about you. And I know music is a high priority for you. So did you always envision yourself becoming a musician, or did acting and that dream exist side by side since the start?
Yeah, they both existed side by side. I think I'm just a creative person in general. And so it's kind of like, you know, what is the best medium for what I want to say? Like sometimes music is the best medium for something that I specifically want to say. And what was really great about this was that it's not necessarily my baby, this is their baby, but I'm so happy to be a part of this like project and collaborate on it too.
I remember you saying to us that you felt that you've been preparing for this role all your life.
My whole life, that I could do that's something that I can just literally like get my teeth into and give everything that I got. And I told them, I was like, listen guys, I sing, I songwrite, I play these instruments, like use it, like, you know, to your advantage. And you did, didn't you? Yeah, which was great. So
you come into the project with all these different skills. You're going to go on to lead more films. I just know it in the future.
Thank you.
What is a particular lesson learned or a skill you gained making Unicorns that you're eager to apply to another movie down the line?
Oh, patience. I'm someone that honestly like just is like go, 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 go. So sometimes you just need to like stop, listen, and just let it go, and off you go. And also, I don't know, like in general, just from this process, these three people just made me like a better human, a better performer, like a better creative. And I'm not just saying that because I'm sat here on camera and I have to say that, but it's genuinely like how I feel. Like I literally owe my life to them sometimes. That's how I feel.
Okay, I'll go down that path and pose a question to you and you as well, Ben, because I love talking about the value of a good scene partner, especially when I see such electric chemistry in the finished film. So can each of you tell me something about the other that you appreciated as a scene partner and maybe helped you access something in your own character that you wouldn't have been able to without them?
I mean, Jason is just a very generous person in general, and that really comes across in his work as well. You know, so he was always trying to facilitate and help me in scenes, just as I was trying to help him. So really, I suppose it was that, just a very generous actor, which is not, I'm not saying it's not completely rare, but sometimes you don't find that. And it really helped us make the best of this.
I think what's really just bouncing off what you said, like we just was there to like support each other, and we do that throughout like after this process as well. Like we're such good friends, and we just cared about like what we were doing, and I could tell that this person's just passionate about what they do just as much as I am, which is great because you don't always get to work with people like that, like you said. So like in this process, I was like, yeah, I've just kind of found like someone who's like my match in that sense.
We had little pep talks as well, didn't we? Before scenes sometimes. We kind of hyped each other up.
Let's do it.
Like, we can do this, let's do this, let's go.
You guys are saying all the right key words for a company to just excel, like generosity, patience, passion. My God.
With
actually, you were so good to me when, this is sometimes early on in the film when Luke is very resistant to Aysha, you know, within his mind. I would be quite horrible to you, wouldn't I, before takes?
I'd be like, what do you mean? And he would scream and black and like, go for it. Do it.
Yeah. So, and you were wonderfully accepting of that and letting me do that to get where I needed to be.
Course,
so thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
And it worked out. Yeah. You're welcome.
And I'll come your way with a specific question about your filmography, because I've seen a good deal of your work. I haven't seen all of it, so I might be missing something that aligns with this. But this is probably like one of the like warmest, most sincere, grounded projects I've seen you do. So given that kind of material, is there anything that's changed about how you prepare to play a role, or maybe any new acting techniques that you had to use on set in order to make the most of that kind of material?
I mean, I think I've been knocking around for a little while, so I've kind of, you know, my craft is always kind of chopping and changing, but kind of, you know, evolving, I hope, anyway. But I suppose working with James and Sally was, and I've said this before and I'll say it again, it was the most rewarding creative process I've experienced. And I'm very thankful for that. And two of like the hardest working people I've ever come across. Like we would be on Zooms till midnight and beyond. We'd be around their house. They would offer to let us stay around their house. I know, you know, it was so in depth, you know, it was incredible. So when it came to the first day of filming, I've never felt so prepared for a role in my life, because I felt like we had done so many page turns of the script. I'm actually getting emotional anyway. But yeah, so many page turns of the script, and you know, we just gone through every single beat. So I felt so prepared. So yeah. Thank you.
What about not overthinking? That was something.
Yeah. Sally gave me The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle to be like, be in the now. Luke's in the now. You have to be in the now. Yeah.
It just sounds like this whole group is an extension of your family. I'm a big believer that a cast and crew should feel like a family, just because you have to give so much of yourself to make a movie. So that is kind of like the ideal atmosphere there. Bringing that up, the prep and maybe some workshopping too. Can you all give me an example of a particular scene that was most challenging and demanded the most workshopping in order to find the pitch perfect way to play it?
I think it has to be the last scene of the movie. We had so many versions and we discussed it so much. And even to the point where we went into it not convinced of ever what was written as the last scene of the movie in the script. And we all didn't know how things should end in that last scene. And we were fighting against, I guess I don't want to give spoilers, but we were fighting against a certain conventional way that scene could have played out. And so we shot so many versions of it. And even into the edit, we cut so many versions. And we tried the movie with so many different resolutions and endings. And we feel we really landed on the one that ironically, we all kind of in the moment felt was right, but second guessed ourselves and overthought it and thought maybe it's not. But we did actually end up with that one. And I think that is the right one that's on the film.
Oh, I love hearing about how things evolve. I want to know about the other endings and the way you workshopped it. We'll talk about it after, though. I'll throw this question to the two of you to start, but anyone feel free to jump in. I love seeing movies that introduce people to new communities, in particular here, the gaysian community. So is there any single aspect of that community that you were most excited to bring to screen in this film? Maybe a film that will have someone out there experience or learn about it for the very first time?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. I mean, I'm tempted to say all of it, but I think for me personally, I think the family aspect. I think very, very rarely do we see queer South Asians interact with their family in such a complex way. You see the love, you see the hate, you see the darkness, you see the light, you see all of that sometimes in one scene. And I think in particular, I think the relationship between the mother and Ashiq is something that is very, very close to me, because my mum is Indian and we have a very interesting kind of complex relationship. And, you know, we just don't see that much on film. So for me, I'm very proud of the fact that I think Gaysians get to have the complexity of their family relationships, I think, put into this film.
Rather than their chosen family, which is often kind of how it's presented, as that's all that exists in their lives is the chosen family as opposed to the born family. Yeah.
Want to add anything before I move on? I got two more I want to squeeze in. Well, first, James, because you were just talking about some of those elements, I was reading your director's statement, and I know you had mentioned you were very excited to share this film with the world, but you were nervous about sharing it with your family. And I hope it's not too personal. If you don't want to answer it, don't. But I was wondering, has your family seen the film? And if so, what do they think about it?
No, they haven't yet. No, I mean, like, you know, so I have some family on my Indian side that, you know, are quite religious, and they're actually Christians. So I'm sure they will have some interesting opinions on the film. But I think, you know, that's the whole point of if you can call film an art form, you know? Like, I think that's the whole point of art, is that you've got to go deep into yourself, and you have to be, you know, naked, sometimes literally. But it's I think it's something that, you know, you got to bare your soul. Otherwise, I always feel like a camera is like a lie detector, you know? Like if you're not telling the truth some way, whether it be as a filmmaker or as an actor, I think it can tell. And I think that's where you just got to be like, you know, screw it. This is me. This is how I feel. And a bit like what happens to the two characters, you've got to take that leap of faith and just, you know, jump off the cliff. And it is frightening. But I think I'm at a point in my life where I'm like, you know what? If I had it my way, I'd only do films like this that are very personal and true to me.
Doing films and things that scare you will wind up tackling those challenges easier for someone else out there. So exactly. I appreciate being able to do something like that. For all four of you now, this is one of my favorite questions to end on. So I find that a lot of people in this industry have a very tough time telling themselves good job. We give each other awards and say good job to each other all the time. But I want to know something you accomplish on this film that you know you'll be able to look back on and say to yourself, like, damn, I am proud of what I did there.
You've come to the right crowd here, because I'm
sorry.
I
was so ready to be like, oh, you don't have that problem with us.
You know, I think especially me and Jason wake up in the morning, look at ourselves in the mirror and go, we are amazing.
Yeah, I literally like, oh my God, I look so good. Yeah. Well done to me.
Teach me your secrets, please.
You know,
How do you do it?
I'll tell you the secret. But for me, I actually found that just, you know, it's affirmation really. It's just, you know, I just have said that to myself so many times that I believe it, that hubris is now my problem.
Yeah.
But no, I'm being serious, I am very proud of this movie. So, you know, and I think I can accept that, you know, and acknowledge that. And so that's a wonderful thing.
As you should.
Go on, you go. What are you going to say?
No, I've forgotten the question, but you sort of maybe think about how that's a really, I never thought of that. I thought that's really smart. It's like, you're right. Like, I think it's important to say to yourself in this industry that is so uncertain. And I think in particular in the times that we live in now, you know, like we're very, very lucky that we're here, because, you know, we are an independent film. We are outside of the jurisdiction of SAG and WGA. But this is an industry that is full of unemployment, even when there isn't a strike. So for me, you know, you got me thinking of gratitude and just this idea of saying, yeah, you know what, like, we are good and we've made a good movie. And we're very, very lucky to have this at a film festival during this time. And it makes me very sad what's happening in our industry, if I'm totally honest. Yeah. You know, it makes me quite angry. But it's a necessary battle that we've all got to fight. Anyway. Absolutely.
Does anyone else want to add anything before I have to let you go?
Me and Sally know we were great. That's it.
Thanks, Jace.
Sincerely, you are all great. You deserve all the celebration that's coming for this movie. Huge congratulations on Unicorns. And to everybody out there watching, do not miss it. Keep an eye out for this film. And we will see you soon at the Cinema Center at MARBL for more interviews from TIFF 2023.